Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to Growth Habits with Ngozi. I am your personal guide on the journey of growth. So, who is here with me this afternoon? Who is excited? I am excited to be here today. I'm so excited. How have you been? How is everything? Okay, our light is trying to misbehave, but it's all right. So, how have you been? How has your week been? I know this is just Tuesday, but since the last time we saw, how is everything with you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please do let me know once you join me. Let me know that you are here. Let me know where you're joining me from. Yes, this is Growth Habits with Ngozi. And remember that I am your personal guide on the journey of growth. And we have been here consistently every Tuesday, 12 noon. We've been here for the past how many months? I'm sure it's like 5, 6 months now because this is session number 41. Can you imagine it? 41 sessions. When we started this journey, it looked like it might happen, it might not happen. But here we are. Please do let me know if you can hear me. Let me even test it from my laptop to be sure that I am being heard. Yes, let me just go down and be sure that at least I can hear myself, if nothing else. Okay, so as I said, this is Growth Habits with Ngozi. All right, so I can hear myself, which means I am being heard. So who is here with me? Please let me know that you are here. Let me know that you are here. I am truly excited for this series that we are starting today because it's something that is truly near and dear to my heart. I've had opportunity to talk about this a couple of places, and really it's near and dear to my heart. We're going to start talking on ethics. We will explore it, the different aspects of ethics. We're not just going to do a review. We will do an overview today. Today is just the introductory session. Yes, we're just going to do the introductions today. And then going forward, we'll explore all the different aspects of ethics. Where can it apply, and all those things. So who enjoyed the last series we held on health and wellness? I'm sure we learned a couple of things in that series. Even myself, I learned one or two things in that series, and truly I'm glad that that series held. At least, if nothing else, I'm remembering to drink my water. Remember, keep it nearby. Don't wait till you're thirsty. Just keep it nearby and drink. It is life. You can't even imagine all the benefits that come with just that bottle of water. The benefits are endless. So remember that we told ourselves we should be drinking water. We told ourselves we should be active. 30 minutes a day is all that you need. You don't need too much. 30 minutes a day. So those were some of the things we talked about last time. I hope I'm clear and very audible. Please do let me know that I am clear and that I'm very audible. Okay, so as I said, we are starting a new series today and it's going to be on ethics. It will touch workplace ethics, it will touch personal ethics, it will touch business ethics. We will look at ethics roundabout as many places. Oh, let me also promote. Can you see our t-shirts? You see, we have shirts, we have t-shirts. Before you know it, we'll have so many other things. Thank you, Mrs. Divine Idowu. Thank you, Kelechi, for joining this afternoon. So as I said, we're going to begin with an introduction to ethics today. We'll just do the introduction. What does it mean? And maybe one or two things about ethics. And then from next week, we'll begin to go into details and talk about other aspects, or the different aspects of ethics. All right, so I will just dive right in and talk about Okay, yes, thank you for letting me know I'm very audible. I had a microphone that I was trying to use, but as I used it to just do a sample and record myself, I couldn't hear anything, so I had to drop it. Maybe by the next session would have sorted out the microphone issue so that my voice will carry much better. Whether I'm shouting or speaking loud or not, you still hear me. All right, so you can see that we are growing little by little, we are improving, we are adding what needs to be added. Okay, so I said today we're going to talk about ethics, and ethics is something we all know about it. Truly, we all have an idea what ethics is all about. No, anybody that tells you they don't know is not being really truthful. We have an idea what ethics means, and we have an idea how to apply it. But the thing is that, do we now apply it, or do we just feign ignorance of it? There are many definitions of ethics. It's not there's no one definition, but the main meat of it is always the same. So I understand from study that ethics is derived from the Greek word ethos, and ethos means way of living. Way of living. That is what ethos means. And we know that ethics, as it has advanced, is a branch of philosophy, because that's where it came from, and is concerned with human conduct, the way that we behave as human beings. But it now goes ahead and hones in. It's not just the way that we behave. Ethics is not just the way that we behave, but it's how we actually behave in a society. So it's not just how you behave as regards yourself, but in society as a whole. And we can also go further and say that ethics goes ahead to examine, our justification for our moral judgments. Why do we do the things we do? Why do we make the decisions we make? Is a study that looks at basically right or wrong, whether your actions are just or unjust. That is the generality of what ethics is about. It involves our questioning, it involves our discovering, and it involves our also defending our values. That is generally what ethics is all about. It also has to do with our principles, and it has to do with our purpose. Now, most people think that ethics is just being morally right. It goes a little bit beyond just being moral. We have people who are moral, we have people who believe one thing or the other. But ethics means that you don't just believe these things, you live by them. So it's not just that I believe that it's wrong to kill. I actually live my life in a way that I do not kill. It's not just that I believe that it is wrong to steal. I live my life in such a way that I do not steal. And not only that I do not steal, but people see that I do not steal. So ethics is something that is visible, really. People can see your ethics. If you have ethics, or you claim to have ethics, and your co-worker doesn't know your ethics, then your ethics is questionable, whether truly you have any ethics, or whether you are living by those ethics. Also, if people you meet on a daily basis, not just maybe in the office, anywhere, people, your neighbors, they can't tell what you believe, they can't tell what are your principles, they can't tell what are your values, then you are not practicing your ethics. Like I said, we'll look at ethics in different areas. We'll consider workplace ethics, because it's not the same. What is expected of you in the workplace, in the area of ethics, might be a little different from what is expected to you in just your day-to-day life. And it might also be a little different from what is expected of you in doing business. So you remember that ethics is not morality, because we have people who are moral, they are churchgoers, or spiritualists, or whatever you want to call them, but they don't really have ethics. They might have some morals, but they are not really practicing it. So ethics, as I said, is not just I'm being moral. This is right or wrong. In a way, it's even a little bit subjective because it changes. The ethics expected of you in business might be a little different, as I said, than what is expected of you where you are working. And ethics also has to do with your profession, because there are some things for an accountant is wrong, but for another profession, it might not be wrong. But the point is there's also some general principles of ethics that we need to understand, that we need to work with, that we need to walk through. So those are the things that we'll look at. These are the things we'll look at in the process of this series. So as I said, generally, there are about 4 principles of ethics. There could be more. There are many, honestly. There are many. But generally, we consider 4 principles of ethics in psychology. These are, the people that study it. But of course, like I always do, I will try and bring it down to where it makes sense to each and every one of us. Okay, as I said, ethics covers morals, that's the general nature of morals, and also the choices that we make that align with either those morals or not. That is what ethics is all about. So the basic principles of ethics is 1, beneficence. And that is, okay, sorry, I'm reading the wrong place. I am so sorry. I was looking at something else. I told us there's some general principle of ethics, and it does change depending on whether you're talking about business ethics or you're talking about personal ethics. But even as there are some slight differences, there are some basic things that applies in all. Okay, so the first question or the first principle or the first thing you would consider when looking at your ethics, yes, it covers morals and the choices you make, is what are your basic values? What are your basic values? This is why I said that it's not just about morals, because some people have morals, but truly they've not even sat down to consider what are their basic values. So for you to even operate in ethics or ethically, I'm not saying ethics, to operate ethically, you have to understand what are your basic values. What are the things you believe in? What are the things you assent to? So it is very important that you start from there. You have to start from there. And some of the basic principles of ethics is 1, integrity. Integrity. You will find that this integrity cuts across all the areas of ethics we'll talk about. When we talk about personal ethics, when we talk about workplace ethics, when we talk about business ethics, we will find that integrity cuts across all of them. Is a basic principle of integrity, of ethics. For you to behave in an ethical manner, you must possess integrity. And integrity is like the wholeness of your character. And you can basically see it in consistency? Yeah, the consistency between the things you say, the thoughts you think, and the actions you take. So it's not just that I say that I'm a man or a woman of integrity. It must show in my thoughts, it must show in my words, it must show in my actions. That is the only time you can claim that you're acting in integrity. It shows in your thoughts, shows in your words, shows in your actions. That is one of the basic principles of ethics. Integrity. Integrity. And I know a lot of people we claim, like I said, to be people of integrity. But remember, if it does not cut across thoughts, words, actions, you have not started. You have not started. So that is one of the basic principles of ethics. Integrity. Integrity. Another basic principle of ethics that will also cut across all the areas of ethics we'll look about is respect of persons. Respect of persons. Every man is actually created equal. All human beings, they are created human beings. We are all human beings. No one has, more right than the other. And one of the basic principles of ethics is that respect of persons. You treat each person as a human being. You treat each person as a human being. It doesn't matter whether the person is below you in cadre, in quote. It doesn't matter whether the person is below you in economic ability. It doesn't matter whether the person is above you. The point is that every human being is first and foremost a human being and must be treated as such. I see people that, when they are dealing with maybe their bosses, the high and mighty, they are respectful, they speak well, up to the person, they are careful of their words. But when they are speaking to someone they think is lesser than them, maybe their driver, the girl that stays in their house, the security man, it's a whole different thing. But see, that is just not it. The second basic principle of ethics is respect of persons, understanding that each person is a human being first and foremost, just like you're a human being. There are just some things we will not do to people if we see them as human beings. Welcome, Pastor Bridget. I'm glad you joined us this afternoon. Thank you for joining me. So there's a way you will treat people when you see them as people first. Like I said, it doesn't matter whether the person is of low regard or low estate or whatever. It doesn't matter whether the person has money or does not have money. Irrelevant. When you see people as people first, this is not even now Christianity. This is human being. You are seeing the person as a human being, just like you. I believe we treat people differently because we don't see them as human beings like we are. We either think they're a lesser kind of human being or something. That is why we treat people badly. So the second principle of ethics, this will also cut across personal ethics, it will cut across business ethics, it will cut across workplace ethics, is respect for persons. Truly, our world will be different if we respect human beings as human beings. So respect of persons. That is the second general principle of ethics, respect of persons. The next general principle of ethics is accountability. We must hold ourselves accountable. We must hold ourselves accountable for our actions, for the things that we do. This is something that I find so lacking in this generation generally. We do not hold people. We don't hold ourselves. We hold people accountable. We hold people accountable. We find it so easy to hold the other person accountable, but we don't hold ourselves. See, there has to be personal accountability for our actions. Many a times when we do things, we find how to blame someone else for our own actions. We find how it is someone else's fault for something that we did. I hear things like, it's because that person was so rude to me. That is why, it's not because the person was rude, because you yourself, you don't have control over your emotions. It's not the person's rudeness that was the problem. Because somebody can be rude to you and you still respond rightly. Respond in a way that will not cause more problems. So see, the problem was not what the person did. It's your reaction. So we must learn to hold ourselves accountable for our thoughts, for our actions, for our words. It's so easy, as I said, to hold another person accountable. We do it very well. As human beings, we hold other people accountable easy. Look at the situation in our country. We are blaming Tinubu, we are blaming Buhari that was there. We are blaming everybody. We are trying to hold them accountable for their words, for their actions, for their deeds. But what of you, me, ourselves? The things that we have done, have we held ourselves accountable for it? Have we sat down and said, Ngozi, this thing you did, this action you took, you should not have done it. It's because of this, your action, that this happened. No, like I keep telling people, oh, Nigeria is bad, Nigeria is the other. What have you done, you personally? What is your own contribution to make Nigeria better? What is your personal contribution? So we find it easy to hold other people accountable for their actions, but we do not hold ourselves accountable. We do not hold ourselves accountable. So personal accountability, I'm careful to specify. Personal accountability is one of the basic and general principles of ethics. Personal responsibility. We must be able to say, yeah, I did that. Yes, this was my doing. I take responsibility for the outcome of what I did. I take responsibility for the way so and so felt by something I did. I take responsibility for this action or the other action. So we must take personal responsibility, hold ourselves accountable. See, if I hold myself accountable and you hold yourself accountable and the next person hold themselves accountable for their actions, for their words, for their deeds, can you see how things will be different? If I walk into a government office, for example, let's assume I want to get my passport, and the first person I meet, let's say, is the clerk, and he's holding himself accountable for his actions, his deeds, his words, and everything, and I come and I meet him, and there is no mago, those of us in Nigeria, we understand. There is no, everything is straightforward. This is the requirements, fill this form, this is what you pay it so and so place, and it is that smooth. Then from that table, let's assume I go to the next table, maybe the time to capture, and when we get to the place where I'm going to do the capture for the passport that I'm trying to get, first come, first served. There is no person coming with the passport of one special human being, VIP, that maybe came 1 hour after I've been there. Then you bring that person's passport and put on top of mine and treat theirs first. If that does not exist, can we see how things will work better? How many of us have gone to, I don't know why I'm using passport office today, but let me just go ahead. You go there, they tell you there's no booklet. Yet somebody will pay extra money, a VIP who happens to have the money, and the passport comes out. While you're still begging, pleading. Can we see that if each person took personal responsibility, was accountable for their actions, things would be better. Things would work. So it's because we don't have personal accountability for our actions in this country. I believe that is our biggest problem. That is our biggest problem. It's not the politicians, because they too have to take personal accountability, of course, but we are not taking accountability. We're not holding ourselves accountable. When things go wrong, even by our own actions and our own deeds, we find someone else to blame for it. We look for who else to push it on. So we are not being accountable. We are not being accountable. So we have looked at integrity. We have looked at respect for persons. Okay, these things I need to write it down because I'm just talking from my head right now. Let me write it down so that I can remember. And when I'm doing the review next week, these ones are just coming out from the top of my head. I've talked about integrity. I talked about respect of persons. And I talked about accountability, holding ourselves. Okay, let me make it personal accountability, as I've said. Because it can just be, if I say accountability, it might just be holding the other person accountable. Okay. Yes, you have to be able, Kelechi, to hold yourself accountable for your actions. Don't just push it off to the next person. Don't push it off to, it's not because of anybody. It is you. Okay, so be able to hold yourself accountable. All right, so those are the first three principles of integrity. The next principle of integrity that cuts across all areas of ethics is fairness. Fairness. It sounds normal, but the point is we have to strive to be fair in all our dealings. It's not always possible. Let me put that caveat. It's not always possible to be fair, but make the attempt to be fair in all your doings. Make the attempt to be fair in all your dealings. It should actually become part of your behavior to always act in a fair manner, to always act in a way that is fair to the next person. And you see that, I hope you can see how all these principles connect. If you are a respecter of persons, if you respect persons, not a respecter of persons, if you have respect for each person as a human being, you will see that you will try to be fair in all your dealings with that person. Most times it's because we don't have respect for people as human beings that in our dealings with them we are not fair. Some people, I've had to say, how do I know whether, how you know? We know what is fair, we know what is not fair. That is one thing I know God has put in us as human beings. We know what is fair and we know what is not fair. Because when someone acts unfairly towards you, you know. And you quickly pick it up when someone acts towards you in an unfair manner. So we all know what is fair and what is not fair. The fourth principle of of ethics. I don't know why accountability. Maybe because I need to harp on it a little more. The next principle of ethics that cuts across every facet of ethics, personal, business, workplace, is fairness. As much as is possible, be fair in all your dealings with everyone. Be fair. It is possible. You can do it. It is very, very possible. Very, very possible. And remember that I connected it to the fact that if we have respect of persons and see people as human beings first, we will definitely know how to act fairly towards them. We will not be confused. We will know how to act fairly towards them. Okay, the next principle of ethics that cuts across all areas of ethics is actually linked to accountability. And I think I even mentioned it when I was talking about accountability, and this is responsibility. So it's not just to hold yourself accountable, but be responsible for the things you say, the things you do. If you do something wrong, own it. I'm not trying to promote making mistakes, but see, when we own our mistakes, when we own the errors, in quote, that we make, we learn from them. But when you don't own it, when you don't take the responsibility, it just goes to waste, honestly. The whole experience, the whole activity that brought that error or that mistake or that problem or that issue is lost because you did not learn from it. So the next principle of ethics is responsibility. It goes hand in hand with accountability. So when you hold yourself personally accountable for your actions and your deeds, you will easily take responsibility for the things, especially the ones that are wrong. It's easy for us to take responsibility for our good actions, for our good deeds, for the things we did right. Nobody has to tell you to take responsibility for them. You just do that. You just do it. It's natural. But when it's now something that didn't quite go as it should, we find it difficult to take responsibility. So own it. There is no human being that is without mistake. There is no human being that's without some error. That person is not alive on this earth yet. But when the error happens, when the mistake happens, what do? Do you shift the blame? Or do you own it? You know, some people say, if I own it, there will be consequences. Of course, there are consequences for everything. There are consequences. But see, the problem is that even when we do suffer the consequences, we don't learn from them. We do not learn from it. So the next time, we repeat it. But when you take responsibility for your mistakes, especially, and you take time to dissect what happened, you learn from it and you will not repeat it. You will move on from it. You will not repeat that mistake again or that error again. But because we are not taking responsibility for it, we are just moving on. Most times we find ourselves repeating mistakes, repeating errors. We learn nothing. We learn nothing. Welcome, Ogonna. I'm glad you joined us this afternoon. Thank you. Yes, Kelechi, own up to your deeds, whether they are good or bad. Own it. Own it. You did it. Nobody made you. No, that is another excuse we give. Nobody can make you do anything. Do we know? No human being has the power to make you do anything. It's only when you accept. It's when you agree. You know, like I go back to the point of anger because this is the one that I see a lot of people fall into. It's because this person made me mad. This person made me angry. Yes, they did something that should make you angry. Accepted. That is not even the point of discussion. They did something that should make you angry. What did you do? That is the point. So nobody can make you do anything unless the person is exerting some kind of undue pressure on you. But normally, under normal circumstances, no one can make you do anything. So take responsibility. Own up to your deeds, good or bad. Own up to them. And when you do this, truly you learn from them. You can't learn from any deed you have not owned. You can't. Because as long as you have someone to blame for it, you're good. But when you know that this is me, I did this, you will now, even in your head, almost unconsciously begin to wonder, why did this happen? How did I get here? You see, that process is what gets you to the solution. That process is what helps you to grow. So own up to it. Take responsibility for your actions. Take responsibility for your deeds. Even the words we speak, take responsibility for it. And you will see that your life's trajectory will change. It will truly change. Your life's trajectory will change when you begin to take responsibility for your deeds and not push them to someone else and not believe that it's someone else's error or it's someone else's fault. Take responsibility for yourself. Take responsibility for your actions. Definitely you begin to see changes. You begin to see the difference that it makes. you begin to see yourself mature. You begin to see yourself grow. Simply because you're taking responsibility for your actions. You're not blaming any other person. You're not saying it's any other person's fault. Because truly, I mean, in this life, if I am doing well, it's because I chose to do well. Yeah, some people have luck, some luck, chance, happens to, but the Bible tells us that it happens to everybody. The same sun shines on all of us. The same sun. So if I do well, I made the right choices. Somebody will tell me now, what of these people that maybe their parents are rich, so they have set them up? Have you also not seen people whose parents are rich, set them up, and they made a mess of it? They exist. They are legion. So many. So our actions determine the outcome that we have. Our actions and our ability to take responsibility for our actions and our ability to hold ourselves accountable determines our progress, determines whether we'll go forward or we are heading backwards, determines whether we progress or we remain in the same place, going round and round in circles. Remember, what we are talking about this series is ethics. And we've looked at a few things that are general principles of ethics. They are integrity, respect of persons, personal accountability, fairness, and responsibility. This will cut across all the other areas of ethics we'll talk about. Like I said, we'll talk about personal ethics, we'll talk about business ethics, and we'll talk about workplace ethics. And you will find these things I've said across all these areas of ethics. There are other branches, whether that's what I'll call it, of ethics. I've said business. There's actually also professional ethics. Now, this has to do with the profession. As an accountant, we have our code of conduct as an accountant, which might not really be what I personally, on my own, would choose to be my values. But because I'm an accountant, I have to abide by that code of ethics. That is professional ethics. Principles, practices that relate specifically to your profession. They exist. But even by the time we discuss that, you will see that integrity is there somehow. Respect of persons is involved. Personal accountability is involved. Fairness, responsibility, they are all there. So personal ethics, professional ethics, business ethics in doing business, you will find all these things. Workplace ethics. See, workplace ethics is different from professional ethics. Because professional ethics is just because I'm an accountant, for example. It only relates to me as an accountant. But workplace ethics is how I interact in my place of work with the people who are there. It doesn't matter whether I'm an accountant or a secretary or the CEO or IT or whatever. That is workplace ethics. So we will look at all these branches of ethics in the days to come. We'll take up each one. I don't know which one we're going to do first right now, but I think probably personal ethics. We'll start with ourselves and then we'll begin to go out to our profession, to the places we work, to the business that we do. There are even environmental ethics. These exist. Environmental ethics, that's how we treat animals, how we treat the environment as a whole. There's global ethics, which has to do with the ethics that involve international affairs, human rights. It's there. There's even communication ethics. So it's not everything that you put out in the media. There are some things that are not allowed. So there is communication ethics, dealing with the media, public relations, journalism, and things like that. There's social ethics. This one deals with issues of social justice. There's even political ethics. So ethics has a lot of branches that can be explored. a lot of branches. But remember that the basics that you will find ingrained in all the branches of ethics is integrity, respect of persons, personal accountability, fairness, responsibility. Some other ones will show, as we take the different branches, we'll find other principles of ethics contained there. But for the general discussion on ethics, these principles are very, very important, and they are very, very key. We must take note of them. We must look at them personally on our own, on a personal level, and then we can work them out into the things that we do. So as I said, we will start with general personal ethics in our next discussion. We'll look at personal ethics. Let me put this caveat there. This is, once again, this is not morality per se. It's not a matter of I'm a Christian, so, even if you're not a Christian, these principles apply. But you can also see, when I tell people, they always look at me as if they're being a religious person. But you see, when you look at all these things we're talking about, you will find that they are rooted in the Christian faith. They're all included. In part of being a child of God, they're included. Integrity, fairness, they're included in it. But these ethics are not necessarily moral standards, no, but they are general principles, general things that is expected of us as human beings. Living in this world, living in this earth, is expected that we'll begin to showcase these things, that we'll begin to act in these ways. Okay, so I think I have done justice to this introduction. I believe so. I hope we got something from this introduction to ethics. Next week we'll look at personal ethics. I think that would be the good place to start. We'll look at personal ethics, dealing with us, ourselves, and then we'll move forward from there. I hope we got value from this discussion this afternoon. I hope we learned something. I hope we learned something from this discussion we had this afternoon. I don't know if anybody has any questions. If not, I'll remind us today to... Okay, thank you. Kelechi said, yes, I have. Okay, that's good. Thank you. So from next week, we'll begin to look at personal ethics. What is it about? What are the principles? And I'll try and get some personal examples. So it's not just be that we are talking. Look for, personal examples that can help us truly understand what each of the principles of personal ethics means and how we can apply them in our lives, what we can do to ensure that we are living ethically. All right, so thank you for joining me once again. Oh, Tobechukwuoti, thank you for joining me. And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you for joining. I'm so glad that you chose to spend these minutes. We always say between 45 minutes to 1 hour with me this afternoon. I hope to see you next week, Tuesday. Thank you. Remember to follow us on all our social media handles. Facebook, of course, right here, my personal Facebook page, and we also have the Growth Habits group. Join that group. We're on Instagram, Growth Habits with Ngozi. We are also on TikTok, Growth Habits with Ngozi, and we are on YouTube, Growth Habits with Ngozi. Engage with us on all our social media handles. In fact, engage with us on YouTube. I want to grow that channel to where I have 100,000 subscribers. Tell your friends about it. Join, subscribe, like the videos, watch them, comment on the videos, engage with the content. Also on TikTok, engage with the content. Don't just waka pass, That's what a lot of us do. We just waka pass. Watch, engage with the content, ask questions. Oh, thank you, Kelechi. You said you learned something today. That's good, thank God. Ask questions. I am always ready to answer. Sometimes when I check the comments, I see questions people ask. I go ahead and I answer those questions. Also, remember that I have a paid mentorship group. The group is actually on WhatsApp. Okay, I'll put up the link. Yeah, I'll put up the link to the wait list for that paid mentorship. That will start in January. But I don't believe that I have to wait till January. So join the group. There are already some assignments to be done between now and January. If you really want your 2024 to be different from your 2023, you want to be able to do things differently and get results in your personal growth, join that paid mentorship. I will put up the link in the comment section, and once I end this video, join, and you will not regret it. Okay, thank you all so much once again for joining me this afternoon. I trust that we learned something as usual. For those that are already on the Growth Habits group, please share in that group what you learned today. That question will always come up after the live video ends. Comment on that. Share something you learned, something that maybe you didn't know before, or even something you knew, but we shed a little bit more light on it today. Go ahead and share it in that group. If you're not there, please join that group. I think I'll put up all the links to the group, to the YouTube page, everything. I'll put it up so that we can connect on all those places. So thank you once again for joining me. It's always a pleasure for me to come here live. Oh, and notice our t-shirt. I think we have been seeing the shirt, the button-down shirt. Today we have the t-shirt. If you're interested in any of them, the Growth Habits t-shirt or the Growth Habits shirt itself, please do let me know, and you can contact me directly. We'll make arrangements for how to get you your own. All right, thank you for joining me today. See you all again next week, Tuesday, 12 noon, right here on Facebook Live. Thank you and have an awesome day. Bye.